Room 237 is a JumperScape audio production. Oh, what a terrible fate you've fallen to, stranger. You're now locked in Room 237.
Hello and welcome back into Room 237. It is our Scream finale time.
Yay!
Woo!
We did it. We covered Scream in 3 episodes.
Exactly.
That's insane.
I think this is the way going forward for some of these long-winded franchises, is we're going to just have to binge them.
Yeah.
And cover them in chunks. Give the original movie its respect with a full-length episode.
Or whatever movie in the franchise is the most influential. Because sometimes the original movie isn't the most influential movie of the franchise. Yikes.
So today we are covering Scream 5, otherwise known as just Scream 2022, but everyone calls it Scream 5, let's be real. And Scream 6, both were made by Radio Silence, who, if you don't know, they'd made Ready or Not, which we covered way in the beginning.
Way a long time ago.
And we are covering, I want to cover their newest movie, Abigail.
Oh, yeah,
girl.
absolutely.
That's their most recent work. But
I was a ballerina. I'll love Abigail.
I guess I'll go into me as a Scream fan at the time before these two movies happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was really anti Scream 5 before it came out, or before it was even announced, when it was kind of being talked about. Because
of Wes Craven's passing, or
I didn't think they should have kept that story going without Wes. But once I saw it was Radio Silence, I was pretty much on board because I loved Ready or Not so much, and they also have the best segment in VHS. So, you've never seen VHS? I don't know if we're ever going to do that, though. So I was actually really excited for these movies, and I guess we'll find out, did it live up to that excitement? Yes or no? It's yes. But
we're soon to find out.
Yeah.
But we're going to do, just as a quick tell you what is coming up for you.
Yeah, pretty much. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly say thank you for all the YouTube views. If you guys want to leave comments, subscribe. We'd love to start talking about kind of some of your feedback on this show.
Please.
Because I would love to just get a little bit more interaction. See if you guys like this format. Because I think it's kind of a nice way to freshen up doing these franchises. We get less burnt out because we don't spend a month or two on one.
Chucky month was brutal, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I love Chucky, but I was even kind of okay.
We definitely could have grouped up Chucky month, but
no, yeah, we could have definitely done that.
But when you're burnt out and tired, you should have a drink.
Glitch Energy. Use Connor 141 at checkout. That's CONNOR 141. 10% off. It saves my life every day, and also saves me money.
Yay!
Yay, we're trying to get better at plugging stuff that we're supposed to be plugging, like discord.gg/JumperScape if you want to talk to us and all that stuff.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of Discord, we love hearing your comments, and we love also hearing your suggestions of movies to watch. I know we haven't really been active in the movie suggestions chat on there, but we do pay attention to what you say, and a lot of the stuff that's been talked about recently in just the main chat for us on 237 has been kind of recommendations, or are you going to watch this, or are you going to watch that? When are you guys going to cover this?
There's a lot of movies.
There are a lot of movies, but we do take it into consideration, and yes, a lot of that stuff is on our list of things to watch, even the weird ones that you guys put out there.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
But I guess to circle back, into the world of Scream, there is something I wanted to briefly mention in the in-between between Scream 4 and Scream 5. There is the TV series.
Oh, that's
Obviously,
right.
We are not covering it. It's its own continuity. It's its own universe. But if you can find it, because I don't think it's on any streaming services right now.
We started watching it on something.
It's off Netflix now.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
I bet it's on Paramount.
Because I hope so. Because it is really...
I've seen it on something when we were looking for all the Scream movies.
A lot of people don't like it because the only similarity is basically there is a masked killer who uses a voice changer on the phone.
Mm.
So it has kind of a little bit of a formula. The formula is pretty much the same, but it's much more, there's a lot more myth and like local legend stuff going on, and I think it's great and you should watch it, but it is not relevant to the movies at all.
The major timeline.
And then season 3 they made, for some reason they wiped the whole universe and Queen Latifah made it, and it was weird.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was on, it never aired, and then it randomly dropped on Netflix because it was all finished. It just never.
Oh.
I think it aired on MTV. It was supposed to air like the rest of the show like weekly, and then it aired in like parts all in one night because they just wanted to like be like, okay, we've been holding on to this, let's just put it out there. Like, but yeah, that also happened. I'm aware it happened. We're just not going to talk about it on the podcast because that's too long.
Yeah.
So but we're going to watch it eventually at some point.
So basically how this episode's going to go, we're going to cover 5 and 6, and then we're going to kind of rate and rank different things within the Scream movies and then the Scream movies themselves. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure you guys are going to want to listen to till the end for this one.
I imagine we have disagreements.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be fun.
And I'm sure you guys do too. So when we get there, like share with us.
Yeah. As we get there, like literally leave your whole version of your rankings in the comments or in the Discord, wherever you so please.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I'm excited. Let's just get right into Scream 5.
Alrighty.
I'm going to call it Scream 5. I'm not going to call it Scream 2022, just for quickness sake.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Radio Silence made this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Paramount wanted to bring the franchise back. And I remember when this was like starting to cook up, like a real possibility, I was very not without Wes, but Radio Silence was the perfect team to pick because their style fits with Scream so well. Because if you've seen Ready or Not, like it is definitely has that same comedic edge that you would have hoped someone making Scream would have if they were going to do anyone but Wes.
Yeah. And there are some little clunky bits in there for sure, but it still does the meta thing really well. And it still is a horror movie made for horror fans.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like a lot of horror movies are horror movies made for horror fans, but like this one in particular, the Scream series in particular, is made for the kind of people that you walk up to and they're wearing a horror movie t-shirt and someone says something about the franchise and that person then is like, well, have you seen this movie in the franchise? It's made for you.
Yeah. Because every Scream movie has a thing that it's being topical about.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is just horror movies at large, pretty much. The second is obviously about sequels.
Yeah.
The third is, I guess, trilogies, kind of.
Yeah.
It gets a little less clear in the third movie what, like, the parody of, like, the kind of...
I think it's
the lesson to be learned, I guess.
It's definitely trilogies. It's definitely trilogies.
Yeah, because that's what these rules are about.
You get the rules about trilogies, and, I mean, I feel like a lot of trilogies have their third movie taking place at, like, a in a Hollywood scene.
Or just a bigger setting than any of the other movies.
Yeah.
Then Scream 4 is riffing on remakes and also kind of that late 2000s, early 2010s, like, celebrity craze.
Yeah.
Like, that version of it and what it kind of does to people. And I'd say that Scream 5, what it's riffing on is, in the movie world, it's requels and elevated horror, as they kind of call it in the movie. So, you know, your Halloween 2018s, your Candyman, your Babadook, the Babadook is a returning joke several times in this movie.
So many times.
And
did it come out? Oh, that was 2018?
Babadook?
Yeah.
2014.
Oh. Never mind then. I was going to say, it must have really been on someone's mind when they were writing the script.
When people think of elevated horror, Babadook is one I say in quotes because I think that's a stupid term. I think the movie knows it's a stupid term.
Yeah,
but, you know,
that's why they use it.
Because that's just dumb. I mean, I don't ignore that. That is kind of a subgenre that's real, is like horror movies that scare you with less traditional means and have more deeper meaning. Like, that's a thing. Don't get me wrong. But I just hate the term because it sounds so pretentious. I think that's the point. And then from a sociological perspective, it's a lot of internet fandom culture, and toxicity is the other thing that this movie kind of riffs on. And topical.
Yeah. So Scream 5, as we're calling it, introduces our new set of cast.
Yep.
So important names other than our, main three. We've got Melissa Barrera. I hope I said that right. She's gonna be Sam Carpenter for us. We got Jenna Ortega, which if you're gonna reboot your series and you want it to be popular, just throw Jenna Ortega in there. That's all you have to do.
My favorite fun fact, I learned this in the Kill Count video, gotta cite my sources, is they originally in Scream 6, they had a bunch of Wednesday references because they filmed it before Wednesday came out. And they want to just have some cute nods to her playing that character.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came out and was a massive success, they had to cut almost all of them out because they were like, oh, now it looks weird. Like, now it looks like we're, like,
trying to capitalize on it.
Congratulating ourselves. Like, yep, we're taking credit for her getting the role. You know? like,
well, like, between that, she's doing Beetlejuice. She's
everywhere.
And you know what? If Jenna Ortega's in it, I want to go see it. I'm not going to lie.
I saw her in You. I think that was like one of her earliest
I'm
roles.
A real OG, okay? I saw her in Stuck in the Middle, the Disney Channel series she was on.
Okay.
I'm a real OG here.
Oh, God. How many? This is our second Jenna Ortega movie? Or is this our third?
Second, because she was in X.
Well, technically, we're about to get to our third when we get to Scream 6, so I wasn't wrong.
Okay. So, into Scream 5. So we like to kind of go into the cold opens for these. This one is definitely trying to replicate the original cold open. We open on Jenna Ortega in her kitchen, and the phone rings. And she ignores it the first time because she's smart.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who answers random
home phones anymore. Home phones
Even
in
home
general.
Phones, yeah, like anyone's calling you on a home phone, it's probably a collect call or some kind of bill. Like, so
does it ring 3 times before she answers it, or like twice and then she answers it the third time? It feels like it rings a couple times before she answers it, but she answers the phone and honestly starts a conversation with a guy who sounds very normal.
I love the ghost face.
I love
interaction at the beginning.
The conversational tone he has. We never hear that.
Yeah, because he's talking like he genuinely has a wrong number. Which, granted, that's kind of what he's trying to do in the first movie.
But he still sounds spooky.
Yeah, but here he's like, "Oh, I was calling for Sam." No, her mom.
Her mom.
I was calling for your mother. We're in the group together. You know, like.
She goes, group.
Group.
That's how he pulls her in. Is she wants to know more about her mom's problems here. She's nosy.
And like, it is kind of funny to hear Roger Jackson doing a casual ghost face, like, and obviously it turns into, well, what's your favorite scary movie? Like,
and what's funny about it is she really just starts going like, well, I like elevated horror and
like the Babadook,
and like Midsummer and like The Witch. Like she starts going into like this detailed reason why she likes these kind of movies. And he's like, what about the stab movies? And you know, it starts to turn kind of weird and threatening. And she's like, what? Okay. So she hangs up the phone and locks. She has a smart lock system. Just to let you know that we're in 2020.
Yep. She
can lock all her doors through her phone.
I can't do that.
I also can't do that. But some people can. And she's texting her friend. And her friend starts saying, answer the phone. Answer the phone, bitch. So she picks up the phone, finds out that Ghostface has got her friend Amber.
It's taking a video of her.
Yeah. And so instead of the boyfriend or the friend or whatever being outside the door, you know, that's when our quiz starts happening. And it's so meta. It's a quiz over the series that we are currently watching.
It's so good. Because, yeah, instead of the original quiz, she's just getting quizzed on stab
lore.
Questions.
Yeah.
But it's just Scream questions. It's just, that's why I love the stab movies as a plot device in the sequels, because it's an easy way to, it's genius for this reason. It's an easy way to get characters who weren't there to be suddenly familiar with all of the events of the past. Because, like, you can have, like, you know, Charlie Walker in Scream 4, just, he knows everything about, like, even dialogue that was, like, recorded and, like, or, like, said. He can know it because it was in a movie. So it's all, like, it's just such a smart way to make it so you never have to think too hard about how does this person know this. Like,
well, and I think that's what works with the whole meta thing. I think I said it in the last episode a lot, but it makes you just get over the fact that you're watching another sequel or a requel or whatever, because they're making fun of it the whole time. So you're just like, oh, so they realize what they're doing.
And that's
so now I don't care.
And that's what's so great about this series is I think that's part of why Scream has never had what I would call a bad entry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every movie has something that you can go, yeah, I liked this and I liked that and I liked this. Like, that was a good experience.
You feel like because they acknowledge it, that it's not like someone is trying to trick you out of your money.
Yes.
That's what it is. Because when you watch a requel that's not very good, or you watch another sequel of a long-ass franchise, you feel like, oh, they're trying to trick me out of my money, and they know what they're doing, but they won't say that's what they're doing. When you're watching a Scream movie and there's parts about it you don't really like or whatever, you know they know that they're profiting off of you in this way. And because they acknowledge it, you just don't even worry about it anymore. It doesn't feel like a trick.
And I think that's just the genius of this franchise.
It's just so good.
I think they might be pressing their limits with Scream 7 whenever that happens.
They could be. But honestly, after watching these two movies and how they've gone and how they've handled it, I feel like they've handled it really well. I think we'll all get all worked up about it, and then we'll go watch the movie. and then if it happens, and then they'll acknowledge in the first 5 seconds that, oh, you're watching the third movie in the revamped version of a series, and is it going to be the last one was exactly the same kind of plot devices as the second one in the original series. So now are they going to do the same thing with the third movie, or are they not? Are the rules different? Are they not? Oh, and there was some complication with the actress that we don't really need to cover right now. Like, that's what it's going to be, because that's how these movies are.
Yeah, and going back to my theater experience when I saw it in 2022, it was very exciting. And it was a feeling I hadn't felt in a while, and that's the feeling of seeing a Scream movie for the first time, because I was jealous you got to go through that. I wish I could just forget like who the killers are and stuff again, because
every time you fall for the red herrings, and every single time the movie has you thinking it's 5 different people at the same time, and you can never just put your finger on who it actually is.
And that's what I love about these movies, is it's something that I'm always excited to sit down and watch, for the first time and on repeat viewings. But that they're a thrill ride. You get to it's a murder mystery essentially, and murder mystery whodunits are like the most fun kind of movie, because you get to play along with the characters, essentially. And I'd say they brought that back pretty well in this movie. I wasn't huge on the motive the first time I watched it. I think it's even now I still think it's a bit corny. But it's not like
it's unreasonable.
The least convincing, in my opinion, of all the other motives.
See, I don't think it's unreasonable, because people do this kind of stuff. Not commit mass murder because of a fandom on the internet, but they do things that are similar.
Level of toxicity in regards to fandom is accurate. It's just I don't believe someone would commit a murder spree to get another movie made. A good movie. I love the through line, by the way, of Stab 8, because if you watch this movie and things are sounding familiar, Stab 8 is the movie that pushed these fans over the edge, and Stab 8 was directed by Rian Johnson, who directed The Last Jedi, Episode 8 of Star Wars. So that is what that whole through line was riffing on, is Stab 8 is a placeholder for The Last Jedi.
That's funny.
So these are not really even a parody of horror fans. They are more a parody of Star Wars fans.
They're a parody of fandom.
Yeah, but it's more, in my experience, that's where you see the worst of it.
Yeah. Horror fans are used to being dejected at this point.
Yeah,
Star Wars fans
horror
are
fans
way
watch
less.
horrible movies all the time. It's part of the culture.
They watch their franchises get slaughtered in front of their eyes. They're used to it.
Yeah, and then you just hope, maybe next reboot it'll be good.
Right, exactly.
Everyone's mad about Spider-Man keeps getting rebooted, Batman keeps getting rebooted. Horror franchises have been getting rebooted since the 70s.
Right.
So it's nothing new here.
No. We live in an age of reboots. I don't mind it anymore.
Yeah, I've just accepted it. I'd love an original film that comes out and blows me away, but sometimes I want to see Michael Myers stab people. There's a quick side tangent. This is why I love Halloween Kills. It's a terrible movie, but it is the most fun popcorn Halloween bullshit you've ever sat through. We'll watch it eventually. I don't know, maybe October. Maybe.
We got a lot on our plate in October.
I know. Ooh.
Yikes.
Weird thing. Okay, we're good.
All good?
Yeah.
Okay. So
when your ribs pinch something?
Yeah.
That happened. I don't like it.
So, but back to the cold open. So she wins the quiz. Yeah, she wins the quiz. And I forget exactly how this goes down, but Ghostface is
He obviously stabs her anyway.
Yeah. He's there, he stabs her, and
The twist is
she lives.
yes. And that's the thing is, when you got to keep in mind when this movie came out, you had Jenna Ortega and all the marketing, obviously. But then when the scene opens and it's her, you're like, oh no.
Right, because
You had that spoiled because you knew she was in Scream 6.
No, but even still, when I was sitting there and watching that, because I remember all the marketing for this, I remember I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean, I realized what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Immediately when I saw her on that screen, I was like, oh, that's such a cool way to do this. That's what Radio Silence is doing right with these movies, is they're adding that twist that doesn't take away from the originals, but builds upon.
No, yeah. They know the Scream, because this is the thing. Scream is a franchise based on horror tropes, but it's made its own tropes. And the cold open being someone getting killed by Ghostface is a trope. So how do you do that trope, and then the twist is they lived this time? Like, it's such a simple little thing, but it makes you go, oh.
Yeah, it's super cool. And
it makes you panic when it opens up and it's Jenna Ortega. Like, say you're going into Scream 2022 and you're already a big Jenna Ortega fan. I just knew who she was, and I was like, oh,
well, yeah,
I guess she's the big actress
Pole.
who's dying.
Yeah.
And then you sit down and like, say you are a huge Scream fan and you're a huge, even bigger Jenna Ortega fan. You're probably distraught when this movie opens
right,
up.
Like, I mean, like, because that's how I would have been if I didn't know. And I acknowledged that immediately when we watched the movie the first time. But basically, essentially, the plot is Jenna Ortega, Tara, is attacked by Ghostface. Now we've got a new Ghostface killer running around town. Her sister, Sam, has run away from home, basically. And her boyfriend find out and
Richie
come
Kirsch.
back to Woodsboro. By the way, they're in Woodsboro, just in case. Sam reveals to Tara that Sam is Billy Loomis's daughter.
Bastard child storyline.
Yes.
It's dumb. But
I like
think
it though.
Works.
It's dumb, but I actually like it.
Like, I remember when that first happened, when that reveal happened, and I reacted the same way you did.
Which
you're like, oh, that's stupid. And I was like, just give it time. Like, I'm like, just give it time.
No, because you see it and you're like, oh, so that's how they're tying it in, really?
And
like,
it makes sense though when they lay it out, because it's not a stretch.
right.
That obviously, Billy wasn't a good dude.
Yeah.
So obviously, he wasn't actually patiently waiting for Sydney to be ready.
Yeah.
He was sleeping around behind her back.
Oh yeah.
So that's essentially how that happened. Is one of Sydney's classmates was sleeping with Billy and got pregnant.
And you know what I think makes it more impactful, or like makes it not feel like terribly like a bad plot point, is that woman, her mother, not involved in the storyline whatsoever, basically.
And her childhood also mirrors Billy's.
Yes.
Because when she finds this out, she confronts her mom, and her dad hears, and her dad leaves, abandons her.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Billy's mom found out that Billy's dad was cheating and abandoned him.
Mm-hmm.
She is literally just gender swapped Billy, but not a serial killer.
Yeah. But it also lets us see little clips of Billy Loomis throughout the whole movie.
And that's why I can forgive it, because it's nice to see Skeet Ulrich back in the role. And he
really
looks so good.
He looks amazing. Ghost Billy is acting super fatherly. Like he says some murdery things, but when he's not saying murdery things, he's being like a good dad.
And that's at first was a problem in my brain. I was like, this is bordering too much on Billy redemption. But I'm like, wait, it's not actually a ghost
It's not
Billy.
Billy. It's
she has
her.
a psychotic disorder and she sees things. She hallucinates Billy, basically.
Stay close, stranger. The room awaits you after these messages.
It's her own. It's her image of her father.
Yes, so it's not accurate. It's probably more like what she saw in the Stab movie, because I'm sure she watched it.
It's and honestly, it's probably just what she wants to hear.
Pretty much.
Other than the murdery things.
I think it's more the darker side of her brain, like speaking to her through Billy.
Yeah. But when he says the more fatherly things, she's trying to imagine her father figure. And that's where you get the Billy being fatherly thing.
And I just want to say, what's her name? Oh no. Samantha Carpenter's actress.
Oh, I just said it.
I know. I'm so bad with
I'm bad at names.
Actress names.
I just
especially.
know Jenna Ortega really well. Melissa
I need to figure
Barrera.
a better way to have a cheat sheet that I don't have to go. Yeah, Melissa Barrera, she does a really good job in this movie.
Yeah.
I know you weren't really around when this movie came out. She got a lot of hate.
Really?
A lot of people said her performance was really bad.
What?
And there's like some line deliveries that I was like, eh.
But it's a lot
this
of
was like her first big role ever.
A lot of the things that I feel like her line deliveries are where that clunky dialogue is.
Yeah, and that's why I like. And it's funny that the thing that this movie makes fun of kind of happened with this movie.
Yeah.
With people like being way too cruel online to people they don't even know, like people who are real people. Like, it's not that hard to just shut up and not say anything if like an actor puts it out there and it's not a great performance. Like, just, and the thing is, I don't even agree that it wasn't. Like,
No, I think she does a great job.
I think she does a much better job in Scream 6, but that's not me saying she does a bad job in this movie.
I also think in Scream 6, Radio Silence had more confidence in themselves to write a story of their own and not feel like they had to, like start from this, basic batch.
Yes.
So a lot of the dialogue is a lot less clunky and hard to work through. Because
the pressure for this movie was a lot worse than it was for Scream 6. And I think Neve Campbell not returning for Scream 6 was the catalyst for that. Because now that they couldn't include Sydney, they essentially could make their own movie with these characters fully kind of on their own. I know Gail's in Scream 6, but like...
Well, because that's what I was going to say, is as many lines as Melissa Barrera has these weird deliveries, Courtney Cox does too.
Yeah.
It's because those are the lines, the dialogue's clunky there. It's a lot of the, we're the originals. We're the OG people. We're back to Woodsboro.
And that's the main
a lot of that
criticism
stuff.
I have with this movie, and I know a lot of people have, is Scream 5 specifically struggles to sell the meta dialogue. Like the movie jokes and like callbacks. It feels very awkward a lot. And kind of like a side thought. Like, oh yeah, this is a Scream movie. We have to compare it to movies and like talk about movies and be meta.
Like, I think a lot of the meta jokes do fine. I think it's when it's referencing back to Scream where it really struggles.
That's true. And also, the original Scream movies have this... Wes had this way of directing actors when doing these very melodramatic scenes that I don't think Radio Silence could do as well, where, like, anytime there was, like, a very melodramatic line, like, say, like, the poster child is... what does Sydney say, like, before she goes to the bathroom? Like, I'm sorry that my trauma-filled life is an inconvenience to your perfect existence. That is such a weird line.
It's a weird line. It was definitely meant to be a joke. It just kind of like, you just kind of like, just move on.
What I'm saying is still, it works, though, in that movie. Like, Wes just had a way of making, like, he knew what the intention of these lines was when they were written on the paper.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's another thing that this movie struggles with is some of those more melodramatic moments.
Yeah. But we basically follow oh goodness, Sam and Tara as they try to navigate a Scream movie.
Yeah.
We get a couple cute moments. All of the pals, the friend group in this movie, they're like all related to the original like people in Scream. So we've got this brother and sister duo who are related to Randy.
Yep, there is nephews.
There's nephews.
Nephew and niece, my bad.
Yeah, nephew and niece, but I genuinely don't think she'd mind being called a nephew.
No, probably not.
And we've got
Martha Meeks' kids. The she was in Scream 3 for one scene.
She's great.
She's great. I love
her.
She's
the
so
actress's
nice.
name is not coming to me right now, but she's in the Princess Diaries, and every time I see her, I'm like, oh my God, it's you for the Princess Diaries. I love you.
They're at the Meeks household discussing the rules of a requel, essentially, and she comes in with like food. I forget, it might have been cookies, and she goes, "Oh, suspects!" Like it's it's so good. And shout out another great suburban mom who has a kid that is a victim in this movie. Is now sheriff blanking. Oh God.
What's her name?
Judy Hicks.
Judy Hicks.
Sheriff,
that's right.
now Sheriff Judy Hicks. Her son is part of this friend group. And then on the outside, there's also that one greasy dude who's played by the detective in Smile, whose name I'm also forgetting.
Yeah, him.
He is Stu Mock. He's related to Stu Mocker.
Yep. And then
So there's a lot of related. There's a lot of small town families never leave here kind
Right.
of thing going on.
right, exactly. So basically, murder keeps happening. You keep trying to figure out who's the killer. One of the scenes that I want to bring up is Judy Hicks' son. His name is Wes. Definitely the character we are, he's named after Wes.
Yes.
I love his kill scene. So basically, the basics of this scene is he's walking around the house and he keeps opening things and doing things, and you're like, when's the killer gonna show up? And he keeps, closing the refrigerator door and there's nobody there. If it did it one more time, I would have thrown something at the TV. It did it just the right amount of times that you question if he's actually gonna die or not. And it's funny. It does it perfectly. I think it's really funny. So Sam also elicits the help of Dewey. So that's how we get Dewey back in this. Dewey calls.
He's on some rough times.
Yeah, poor Dewey.
He is living in a trailer. He spends his mornings watching Gale on TV.
Because the twist here. So Dewey and Gale obviously divorced.
Yeah.
The twist here, though, is that Gale didn't cut it off this time.
Dewey did.
It was Dewey.
Yes, it's a reversal of what had happened.
Was that three?
Yeah, in 3. I think it was 3.
Yeah, because they're married in
2.
4.
Yes, they tried after 2 and it didn't work. And then
Gale broke it off.
Because Gale broke it off because she didn't want to stay in Woodsboro. And then Scream 4, they're together in Woodsboro.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out in Scream 5, they moved to New York because Gale got this show. And
Dewey
Dewey
just couldn't handle
do
it.
New York.
Yeah.
So he was meant to stay there and she was meant to be somewhere else. And it's sad because it pretty much one for one is a mirror of how David Arquette and Courtney Cox's marriage went. Is they never hated each other. They never weren't friends, but they just were too different.
It's so sad. But basically Dewey calls in the troops, essentially.
Yeah. Originally tells Sydney to stay away.
Yeah.
She agrees.
But Sydney doesn't stay away.
No,
in fact.
and there's a reason.
There's a reason. So, West dies, and they're all like scattering to try to figure out who the murderer is, basically. And
meanwhile, Tara's still in the hospital.
Tara's still in the hospital, so we get yet another Scream hospital scene.
Woodsboro needs to figure out
They got a staffing
their
problem.
staffing in their hospitals, because in Scream 4, how's no one noticing any of this going on? And now it looks literally abandoned in Scream 5.
Yeah.
It's it's daytime when this is going down, isn't it?
No, it's nighttime. It's nighttime because
Okay.
she's driving in the dark to get there, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, because it's dark when they're doing the thing that we're going to have to reveal here soon, which makes me really sad.
It's daylight when they wheel out.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, so it is during the day.
I remember Gail getting like held by people.
Oh, that's right. It is daylight.
It's broad daylight, and this hospital has the lights off, and no one guarding this murder. This near murder victim.
I don't think the lights were off. The ghost face cuts the lights off on that floor.
Still, is there no one else on this floor?
What I did notice is that Judy says she's gonna move Tara to a private floor. But normally that just means you get a room that has walls instead of curtains. So I'm guessing that's their explanation for that, is that they moved her onto a floor with nobody on it, so they didn't really staff it that heavily because there's one person on the floor. And we do see that the killer killed the cop who was supposed to be watching her.
So, yeah. So Ghostface attacks. Richie gets, which is Sam's boyfriend, played by Jack Quaid, otherwise known as Huey. Gets there first. Mm-hmm. And is also being hunted by Ghostface, I guess.
Yeah.
He gets knocked out with a phone. And yeah, he gets hit with a phone.
Hit me with a phone, dick.
And so Ghostface, as she's trying to wheel away, Ghostface turns on the voice changer and calls Sam, and basically is like, I have your boyfriend and I have your sister. Pick one.
This is where Sam gets a cool ass moment, because we're seeing Sam and Dewey run to get to them, and she keeps Ghostface on the phone. She's like, "Oh no, I can't pick, and then, all of a sudden he's like, "You gotta pick," and she goes, "No, I just had to stall you," or something like that. And the elevator door opens and her and Dewey run out and
Dewey starts shooting.
Yeah. And, they slow Ghostface down for a moment or no, not even a moment. They basically get him down. And then they're leaving and Dewey goes, "No, you got to shoot him in the head." And she turns and she goes, "Dewey, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Let's just leave. And
Dewey squeezes out of the elevator as the door's closing, so they can't follow him. And he goes to finish the job.
I can't wait. Before we say anything, if you have not seen this movie, you need to stop listening right now. In fact, Austin, if you could somehow put a timestamp as to when we start talking about the Scream movies altogether, so this doesn't get spoiled for anybody, please do skip to whatever timestamp might be appearing right now, because this got spoiled for me and it ruined my experience with Scream. We were watching all the Scream movies and we stopped because I didn't want to watch this movie anymore. So stop listening right now if you haven't seen this movie. Stop right now and skip ahead.
So Ghostface is against he's down and out, and Dewey's gonna go put one in his noggin. And then this is so cruel. His phone rings, and he looks at it, and it's Gale calling him. And then Ghostface takes the opportunity to spring up, stab him in the gut, and stab him in the back, and pull.
Yep, eviscerate him.
And I remember seeing this in theaters, and when the first stab happened, even though it was so set up, like this is the end, I was in denial. I was
because Dewey always survives the stabbings.
So this is the moment where Dewey's gonna, get stabbed, and he'll get wheeled out, and he'll be okay. And then when Ghostface starts pulling up, I'm still I'm like, ooh, that's not good. But the Dooster has survived a lot more, right? But the moment that killed me is when Ghostface says, "It's an honor," and then he slouches down and dies. I was like, no, he's dead. And I cried.
Yeah. So I told them I was watching through Scream. They asked me what my favorite Scream movie was. And they revealed to me that Dewey died in this one. So it's been almost a whole year since that happened, because we started watching during Halloween. So it's been a whole year since I've touched Scream because of that. So, don't do that to people. Don't do that to people. And that's why I told people to skip so heartily. And if you didn't, I'm going to be so mad at you.
Yeah. So obviously Gale doesn't take it well. But this is what gets Sydney back to Westboro, is Dewey dies. And she's like, okay, I'm going to help stop this, because it's such a shame they didn't get to share another scene together.
I know. That's what's so upsetting. And that's what makes it hurt so bad, too. But
they at least got to share a phone conversation, but it's not the same.
But basically, yeah. So we get a couple moments between Sam and Sydney, and basically this whole movie culminates in a party that they're having at Amber's house
for Wes. And I love that little meta-ness of it, where there's signs everywhere that say "for Wes," and they're cheersing for Wes.
Yeah.
And it's like, aw. I know it's
very sweet.
It's so nice. That's the best use of meta, I would argue,
very sweet
in the whole franchise.
But basically it culminates in a whole bunch of stabbing and such, and all of our main characters end up there. Turns out that Amber's house is in fact Stu Macher's house.
The reveal is so good because Sydney and Gale track her phone because Sam doesn't want them following her around. So they put a tracker on her car because Sydney's like that. And they finally get a hold of her, and Sam's standing by the front door, and she's like, what? It's like, you have to get out of there right now. It's like, you're at Stu Macher's house.
And it zooms out, and you see that it's Stu Macher's house. That's on a cul-de-sac now, so obviously Westboro is growing.
It is. The thing is, it's the same house.
Yeah.
That they used in the original. I think it's possible that maybe they just had to work with what they had.
Oh yeah, no. But I think even in the context of the movie, it's been so many years since that happened. Westboro could have grown.
The best part is because the house has been redecorated.
Right.
But
if
you're watching that, if you're especially on rewatch, you can tell. Right. It's just everything looks different.
Well, I remember when we were watching this the first time, and I didn't say it out loud, so you're going to try to call bullshit on me.
No, I remember. I thought you were putting it together.
Because I was because what gives it away is the kitchen is still the same color blue.
Yes.
And I was
and the stained glass window is the other thing.
Well, right, but you don't see the stained glass window before the reveal.
You get a peek at it.
A little peek. I didn't even notice it. What I noticed was the door to the basement, the color of the kitchen, and I was like, this place looks familiar. And I'm sitting there thinking, this has got to be Oh, I think I did say that. I actually did say out loud, is every basement or like garage in Woodsboro the same garage? Like, so
I think it helped because in Scream 4, I think Marnie's garage kind of had a similar vibe.
yeah, it did.
So like makes you just think, okay, this must be what garages are like in Northern California.
Right. But yeah, so it's a great reveal. We get then the reveal of our killers.
And I love how they do this because they're all in basically a finger pointing circle.
Yeah.
There's this one girlfriend character. She's
Super suspicious.
she's a red herring. That's all she's
a pretty
there
good
for.
red herring.
Just to
but-
basically be someone who disappears and reappears, and you're like,
yeah.
she's like, I'm not a killer, and then Amber goes, I know, and
then shoots her.
and then she's ready for Act 3. Like,
Yeah.
it's so like sudden. I love in a horror movie, a very sudden gun kill. Because a lot of times in horror movies, people are like, gun kills are lame, because it's just bam, dead. But when it's like super like
Out of the blue like that, yeah.
It works.
So yeah, we get revealed that Amber and Richie are killers here, and they are trying to create a new movie because they hated Stab 8.
And this whole reveal thing kind of mirrors the original in a lot of ways, especially Richie's reveal, because he does she's pointing the gun at Sam has the gun and Richie just comes up and people keep trying to get the gun from her, but he just comes up very casually as her boyfriend who's allegedly wounded, and he's like, here, give me the gun, and then just stabs her in the gut.
Yeah.
And I love this line. She looks at him all shocked. She's like, I know. It sucks that it's me.
Yeah. This brings up a thought. Which one of them is Billy and which one of them is Stu?
I still subscribe to Richie is Stu and Amber is Billy. I mean, Richie is Billy and Amber is Stu.
That was what I was going to say, because Amber definitely has the Stu reaction of this scene.
She's very unhinged.
We get a whole bunch of different things with her where she says, it's not my fault, the world made me like this, like stuff like that.
I was radicalized.
It gives you the Stu finding peer pressure and finding and like being like,
did you really call the police?
Did you really? My parents are gonna find out.
My mom and dad are gonna be so
mad at me. It gives that.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, while Richie is nowhere near as scary of a human as Billy, he's still the mastermind.
And he's still the boyfriend.
Yes. He's the boyfriend, he's the mastermind. But yeah, their motive is basically the Stab movies. They were obsessed with the Stab movies. The Stab movies suck, especially Stab 8, made by Ruin Johnson. And so they are like, okay, they need more source material.
Yeah.
So we're going to give it to them. And here's the lesson to be learned, because we got to get to Scream 6.
Yeah.
As Sam Carpenter says, don't fuck with the daughter of a serial killer.
Yeah.
Because Amber, she dies her own way. She gets set on fire by Gail and Sydney.
They didn't purposely set her on fire.
They didn't.
just to put that out there.
But I love when she's like literally cooking on the ground. Gail just goes, whoa.
Yeah, it's funny.
And Richie gets absolutely filleted.
Oh, yeah.
By Sam.
This is going to be, this is a continuing issue of these movies. When she gets the chance to kill, man,
she's going.
She goes at it.
And
just
it's
like
especially brutal when he's like sitting there basically holding on for life. He's like, what about my movie, my ending? And then she's like, here it comes, and like ear to ear slices his throat open. It's very brutal. But yeah, so we get our nice little ambulance blanket scenes, and the movie ends.
Yep.
And it says "For West" before the credits.
And it kind of made me cry.
No,
the For West made me cry.
Yeah, we spent a lot more time on this movie than I thought we would.
Yeah.
Okay, so Scream 6.
Scream 6, we got to kind of barrel through because we talked way too much.
Scream 6 is great. It takes place in New York. The cold open is one of my favorites.
It's got Samara.
It's got Samara Weaving from Ready or Not.
Oh, hello, Samara.
And
my note.
They do another twist here on the cold open, and
I
this
think
is
it's
my
brilliant.
favorite. This is like my favorite like little twist adjustment they do because it catches you so off guard. Basically, she gets lured into an alley, and Ghostface guts her in the alley, and then like the music goes away, and then you see him kind of slouch his shoulders, and you're like, I don't think I'm supposed to be watching this.
Right.
And he like bends down and like gets a closer look. And then he fucking takes his mask off and you see his face immediately.
And you're just like, what?
And you're like, huh? I remember the first time I watched this, I was like, oh my God, is this what they're doing? They're not doing a whodunit? We're just going to know? And that's like what their like twist is? Mm-hmm. And I was like, at first, I was really battling so hard. I was like, oh my God, this is dumb. Oh no, wait, this is brilliant. No, what's going on? But then we start spending too much time with him afterward.
Right. And then you start to realize what's going on.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, hold on.
So then real Ghostface calls him and plays a hot and cold game with him. And he ends up opening... His roommate is his partner killer guy. He ends up opening the fridge and his roommate's all chopped up in there.
He's playing a little game of hot and warm with with
warm and
Ghostface.
cold, yeah. And he opens up the thing, and his roommate's all chopped up in bits in there, and Ghostface appears behind him and goes to kill him, and he says something like, but what about the movie?
Yeah. And this is another twist that immediately gets thrown in the cold open, and that's with the motive. Because he gets stabbed to death by Ghostface and says, well, what about Richie's movie? Like, because that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to finish Richie's movie.
Right.
And then Ghostface says, who gives a fuck about movies? And then title card, title card.
I think my reaction was bigger to who gives a fuck about movies than the killer taking his mask off. I was like, oh, he doesn't care about movies? What is going on?
And that's the thing I want to highlight the most in this movie is Ghostface himself. Mm-hmm. Not so much the killers, but like the Ghostface suit performance and like his line deliveries. Mm-hmm. He's a much more ruthless and this is a good clue if you were thinking hard enough about it. Mm-hmm. He seems trained.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does, because he's setting up a really, really complicated and really good frame.
And that's why I call this more of a Scream crime drama, because one, it goes a lot into the past. Because this Ghostface, his thing he does is he's leaving a mask at each crime scene. So the one that's recovered at this first one belonged to Richie Kirsch. Also, Amber doesn't get a mask in this movie. That's kind of disrespectful. But
yeah, I
that's
did notice that.
I guess maybe they shared. So
I think they might have said that both of them were left at that first crime scene. Because I remember questioning that and then hearing that they were both left at the first one.
I think they did say that there was two, and then they said this one belonged to Richie Kirsch. So maybe just the other unnamed one was Amber's, but she doesn't get a mention. All the other masks get a mention.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first one...
Confirming she's the Stewmacher.
He leaves that. But then, we link back up. Tara's in college. Her and a friend group, I just want to shout out their costumes, the pirate, the robot, and the... I'm blanking.
The cowboy?
Yeah,
the gay cowboy?
And there's an army guy.
Yeah.
That's all a reference to Radio Silence's VHS short. They're the same costumes that the guys in their short were wearing, and I just think that's fun.
Stay close, stranger. The room awaits you after these messages.
I also would like to mention, so we've got, so her friend group consists of the main four, so we've got Melissa again and Jenna again. We have Jasmine Savoy Brown as Mindy Meeks Martin, but it's Mindy's daughter.
What?
Mindy. And then we've got Mason Gooding as Chad Meeks.
Which they were both in Scream 2022.
They were,
as well.
but I wanted to mention them because their roles are more prevalent. Like, yeah.
They're more important in this movie, for
Yes.
sure. Because this is where we get the birth of the Core Four.
Yeah.
Which it's so cute. I wish we got more.
It's
We're not
adorable.
going to get more, unfortunately. Because, they're Jen Ortega and Melissa are not part of the movie anymore.
Oh.
I thought I told you this.
No, you didn't.
The Palestine stuff?
Well, I knew the Palestine stuff, but I thought they would just get over it.
No. They're making... The Scream 7's going to be back with Sydney.
What? Okay,
Well,
now I'm more questioning of it, but okay.
Yeah. But back to this movie. They're in New York, and I love that this movie takes place in New York. Also, shout out the fake killer was watching Jason Takes Manhattan before he died, which is fun. So yeah, we also have Quinn, who's their roommate, and then we have Mindy's partner. I forgot her name.
Yeah, I forget her name too.
But she's fun.
That name gets shouted a lot, but I can't remember.
She
it.
has big Kamiko from the Deadpool movies energy.
Yes.
And then there's Ethan, who's this socially awkward, curly hair roommate of Chad.
Yeah. So essentially, Scream murders keep happening.
Yep. And I'd say my favorite sequence in this movie is the second murder sequence. And it takes place at a bodega.
Oh, the bodega sequence. Yeah.
Because they're going to the station. They're going to go to the station because Quinn's dad, Officer Bailey, calls them down there. And they basically get jumped in the street by Ghostface.
Yeah.
And he follows them into the bodega. And this is why this Ghostface is so different.
He kills everybody in the bodega.
This guy comes up with that big New York kind of, you got a problem here? You messed with one of us, kind of thing. And then he just starts shanking him.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's a mass murderer.
Yeah, he gets a hold of the clerk's shotgun and blasts his head off. Like, it's brutal.
It is very brutal.
And then we get this really nice suspenseful scene where he's slowly chasing the girls around while they're kind of crawling through aisleways. And eventually they push a shelf on him. Cops are outside. Ghostface leaves a mask and goes out the back.
Yep.
And that's the mask that belonged to Charlie Walker and Jill Roberts, the Scream 4 killers.
Yes.
And this is around when we get to meet Kirby again.
Yep. So Kirby is an FBI agent.
She lived.
She lived.
It was revealed in a thumbnail to a YouTube video in Scream 5.
Oh, we forgot to shout out in Scream 5. There's a Dead Meat cameo.
Oh, I love that.
It's very
too.
exciting.
That's the YouTube video, and in the corner you can see Woodsboro Survivor Tells All or something like that, with her sitting in a I don't know, like a Dr. Phil kind of looking set or Today Show or something.
Yeah. So Ghostface,
I keep drinking my empty cup.
Ghostface follows them into their apartment and they nearly escape him. That's where Mindy's girlfriend dies, unfortunately.
With this awesome
and
sequence
Quinn.
where they crawl across a ladder.
Yeah.
But yeah, Quinn dies. Her nameless lover dies. And,
Not nameless in the movie, but we forget the name.
No, he was nameless. They literally called him that guy. The guy in the bathtub.
Oh, the guy in the bathtub.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Mindy's girlfriend again.
No, I said Quinn's lover.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Because it's such a great reveal because they go to lock the bathroom door and his body is just in this heaping mess, and Minnie just goes, "Oh, that guy's dead.
Yeah.
Like,
It's great.
yeah, he is. Like,
But basically, they keep narrowly escaping things. Gail arrives back on the scene because she's trying to investigate everything. Jenna Ortega got to lay a good one on Gail. It's a cute little scene because Sam tries to and Gail dodges, and you're like, ha, Gail's learned a few things
she's
now. And then Jenna Ortega just fucking goes for it.
right after Gail's like, it goes like, "Nice try, honey, but I've done this dance before."
And
then
just boom. Boom, pow, super bitch.
Bitch went down.
And it all leads to them finding this movie theater that has tons and tons of Scream memorabilia. One thing we haven't mentioned is that the ghost face mask looks like old.
Yes.
And decrepit and kind of cracked.
And it's getting more old and decrepit because he's wearing the masks of the previous killers. And this is where they're coming from.
Yes.
It's basically a freaky stab / real life murders shrine. Yes. And also, this is a small piece of throwaway dialogue that I love because it shows that Richie didn't get what he wanted. The events of the 2022 Woodsboro Ghostface killings was turned into a documentary, not another
true
stab
crime
movie.
series.
True crime limited series. But so that's the thing I love is I love these kind of analytical looks at trying to find patterns through looking at other Ghostface killers because they know that's important. So we get this fun little crime board scene with Kirby and Officer Bailey where they basically go down the whole line of killers. Like, okay, and this mask belonged to Charlie Walker and Jill Roberts, and then like the therapist gets it, and that was Roman Bridger's mask, and they make a joke about how he's the only solo Ghostface. And then I believe Mickey's mask was left. Where did Mickey's mask happen? It was mentioned.
It was. A lot of those were very, like, just not descript. They were just like, that one was there, that one was there, that was there. Probably with Quinn, maybe.
At the apartment, probably.
At the apartment. So basically, we've got a killer who is leaving the old Ghostface mask
and
around.
It's a countdown to something.
Yes. And also leaving behind evidence that it would be Sam.
Yeah.
Because there's also an internet conspiracy going around that Sam actually orchestrated the murders in Woodsboro. But
and this whole subplot was kind of a riff on the backlash that she got online. It was supposed to mirror that experience of what that felt like. But because we're short on time, let's just kind of... Gail almost bites it. She almost dies.
Yeah.
They decide they're going to go... They know they can't run, so they're just going to lay a trap. So they go to the theater. Officer Bailey calls, says Kirby's mentally unstable. It's her. So they are like convinced it's Kirby and this is a trap. It is a trap, just not laid by Kirby. Hijinks ensue, and we get one moment I've like had on my Scream bucket list, and that is Chad beats up Ghostface, and then another Ghostface pops up and stabs him, and then you get, for the first time, seeing two Ghostfaces start stabbing him in the chest.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's a cool way to... They've never done... They always reveal two killers almost all the time. And here we finally actually have two killers in the costume at the same time. But here's the biggest twist. There's three.
There's three of them.
So the first one that is revealed is Officer Bailey, because they have a standoff where he's still like, it's you, Kirby. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like,
right.
And he just shoots Kirby. She is not dead. It's okay. And reveals, like, I love how it's just like, it's you. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course it's me.
Yeah.
Like, and the first Ghostface takes his mask off, and it's Ethan, who is Officer Bailey's son.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one, because everyone's like, well, who else?
Right.
She goes, Mindy, and it takes off. And it was Quinn.
Quinn's not dead.
Is not dead. We lied.
Yeah.
And I think this is much better than Roman dying and then being Ghostface, because like no one actually got to, check her pulse.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing that pisses me off so much about Scream 3. She checked his pulse.
I don't know. I don't know.
But yeah, hijinks ensue. Both the Ghostface kids die. It's Richie's family.
Yes.
By the way,
Richie's family.
And so this part is really cool though, because they both get knocked out, but Sam wakes up first, and she puts on her dad's whole outfit and calls him and does a whole Ghostface routine just for him. And in typical Sam fashion, she gets a hold of him and just starts going.
Yeah.
And it's very intense. And then, she, slowly stabs him in the eye. It's brutal.
Ugh, it's very brutal.
But, yeah, right off in the sunset, they tease maybe she's finally cracked because she still had the mask in her purse.
Yeah.
But she leaves it behind. Roll credits. Sorry we had to really rush through that. I didn't think we had so much opinions on Scream 2022.
Yeah, me
Scream
neither.
5. But so that's the whole Scream franchise. And we decided to come up with some superlatives and some, bests and worsts, and of course our final rankings of the movies.
Yes.
So we will start. Who is the best dressed Ghostface? You may go.
So I'm going to go with the three of them from Scream 6.
Oh, because of the masks?
Because the masks. They're cool
They are
looking.
cool.
They're so cool looking.
And I think it's also low-key parodying the Halloween franchise.
With the mask
the
thing.
old degraded
Yeah.
mask. I went with Scream 4's killers because I don't know what it is. They just look really tall,
They do look tall.
and it makes them more intimidating. It doesn't make any sense, but that's how I feel.
All right.
Class
next.
clown.
Yeah, class clown.
Stewmacher. I knew it. I was like, I know we have the same answer. We got to do this in sync.
We don't know each other's answers,
Yes,
by the
we
way.
do
We
not
wrote
know
these
each other's
down
answers.
before the episode, and then we're,
We're just going.
yeah.
Okay. Most likely to get a spinoff.
I've got Gale Weathers.
I have Maureen Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
I think a Scream prequel, you could probably add a little fluff because it seems pretty simple.
Yeah.
But you could add a bit more of a stalking element and some fear and some scary to the original story of what started it all.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing you have Gale just doing other adventures.
I could just see Gale getting herself into all sorts of trouble and it leading back to being a Scream person or something. I just see Gale getting a spinoff altogether.
And side answer, because this movie gave me the Scream 6 gave me this idea in my brain and said that would be brilliant. A mockumentary documentary, a mockumentary in-universe documentary about the Ghostface killings. With sit-down interviews with the characters and stuff.
That could be Gale's spinoff.
Yes. That'd be so good.
Because she makes the mockumentary. That'd be amazing.
Most likely to survive 100+ stab wounds.
Dewey.
Riley.
Scream 5 doesn't count.
No. And those are our superlatives.
Yes. So now
Best and worst.
yes.
Best and worst Ghostface.
All right. Best.
Billy Loomis.
I also have Billy Loomis.
I thought you'd go Stu. I'm actually surprised.
He's the mastermind, though.
Okay. I thought that's why I thought we were different.
Well,
I thought Stu is emotionally my favorite, but I think Billy's my brain favorite.
Worst Ghostface.
Roman Bridger.
Richie.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah. As much as I argued with you on the like motive, I don't actually like it that much. I think it's the worst motive.
Oh, I agree.
Even though the long lost brother motive isn't great either, I just prefer it over this.
Roman's motive is the most out there plot-wise, and granted that was the point. Like, they even made a joke about it, like, oh, something's going to change everything, and that's how trilogies work.
Yeah.
But I just found it a bit convoluted, and I think it kind of dampens Billy and Stu a little bit.
Yeah.
But not too much. Not too much that I won't call Billy the best Ghostface.
Also, I called Richie in the first 5 seconds of the movie.
So
and
did
so
Dewey.
did Dewey.
Best cold open.
I have Scream 6.
I have Scream.
Okay.
I love that answer. I was really battling between Scream 6, Scream 2, and Scream.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going with Scream because I feel like it works as a horror short on its own. I don't know if I can say that about the rest of them.
Right. I like Scream 6 because it still holds the same elements of a Scream, but it got me so good. It got me so good.
No, it's really good.
Yeah.
And for worst, Scream 3.
Scream 2.
You don't like the movie theater?
I don't like the movie theater.
I love the movie theater.
I don't like the movie theater. It just feels weird.
I
don't like the movie theater.
We had time, I'd argue. Best side character, and this is basically anyone who is in one movie.
Yeah. But it excludes...
So no Randy.
Yeah, we're excluding Randy. Anybody who could be part of the core group.
I have a curveball.
All right, what is it?
You go first.
I got Randy's sister.
I have Jennifer Jolie, the actress for Gale Weathers in Stab 3.
That's great.
She's so funny.
She is funny.
I love her so much.
Oh my God, Jennifer's
it was a struggle
awesome.
because I wanted to say Kirby, but then she was in 2 movies, so that's kind of disqualified her from
I didn't
qualifying.
realize 2 movies would disqualify.
That's just kind of how I did it in my head.
Okay.
I was like, oh, she's in 2 movies. You know, I feel like if you survive a movie, you are no longer a regular side character. You're
right.
a part of the ensemble.
Well, I feel like Randy's sister still counts as like a real side character.
Yeah.
I mean, she does just do random appearances.
And I don't even know if the 2 movie rule really counts, because also I would consider Judy Hicks a side character.
Yeah.
Because I love her too.
Yeah.
Especially in Scream 5. She's such a good suburban mom.
Yeah.
Okay, and finally, best and worst kill in the entire franchise.
So for best, what do you got?
You're not gonna like it. It's Maureen Evans in Scream 2. The movie theater kill.
Oh.
I think the publicness of it is really scary.
The ending of that kill is really
and
cool.
like her going up on the stage and like wailing in pain and everyone kind of slowly realizing what happened is like I thought that was actually pretty haunting and effective. I'd say that a close second is Casey Becker in Scream, just because it's iconic.
So I went for like kind of like the most impactful or cinematic best kill. So this one hurts my soul. And if I told you to skip before, skip for 30 seconds. Dewey.
I thought about it because, oh man.
It hurts to watch. It hurts to watch
the best
it.
done emotionally.
You
that's for
have
sure.
to look away because you know Dewey so well.
Exactly.
And it just hurts your soul to watch it happen.
Now, finding a worst was hard because I forget about them.
Yeah.
Mine is Officer Ross, the white guy guarding Sydney's house in Scream 4.
Oh.
Who just kind of got stabbed in the back and died.
I did the Stab 7 opening kill.
That's not
Where
a real
she's-
kill. Does that count?
It still counts. It's in the movie.
Okay, fine.
Where she just stabs her while she's sitting on the couch watching the movie.
Watch the movie. Okay, I'll allow it. I don't think that's not a real kill. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Now we are going to rank going from worst to best.
I wouldn't say worst.
Franchise.
From 6th place to 1st place.
I don't think any of these movies are bad, and my ranking could change tomorrow. I know my 6th place won't change, but that's okay.
I don't think my 6th place would change either.
Number 6.
I have Scream 4.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Scream 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm. I got more into Scream 3 than I got into Scream 4, personally.
I'll talk more about Scream 4 and why I like it later.
Oh boy, okay.
Number 5.
Scream 3.
Scream 5. Fourth place.
Scream 5.
Scream 6. Third place.
Scream 2.
Scream 2.
Okay. Okay.
We
now
agree
we're getting
on one.
somewhere.
Second place.
Scream 6.
Scream 4. I love Scream 4. Part of it is, okay, I am 26. In 2011 is prime nostalgia area for my brain.
Yeah, we talked about this.
It's not like I was like, it's not even like about being in high school at that time because I wasn't. It's about more the technology, the look. That is like when because I'd say 2010, 2011, 2012 is when I was getting into horror for the first time, at the like ripe age of 12 to 14. So this is like that. I think just I have a lot of fun revisiting that time period, and I also just really like the story. It feels small again, like, yeah.
All right.
And then number 1 is the first movie.
Scream. Yeah. We both have Scream.
Yeah,
for the first
like
place.
duh.
Yeah.
I'm not. Here's the thing. I massively disagree, obviously, on Scream 4.
Yeah.
But everything else, I could agree with you.
It's all middle ground.
It's so hard to lay it out.
I like that we both put Scream 2 in second place.
Third place.
Or third place. It's a good movie. I like the plot line of it, and it's a good sequel.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a super good sequel.
It's the one that maintains the tone of the original the most. Because it does just... it came out the next year.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing with Scream 3 is while it still has a similar tone to the first two, it's definitely the wackiest. And I think it gets a little too wacky. That's why
I just have it over...
I hate Roman Bridger as Ghostface. I hate the stupid voice cloner.
I hate the voice cloner, but when it comes to like the ultimate like vibe from the movie, I enjoy Scream 3 much more than I enjoy Scream 4. So that's why it didn't make the end of my list. And somehow I liked Scream 6 better than I liked Scream 5.
That's not an unpopular opinion.
I think it's more secure in its identity, and that helps it.
Even though that's also what I like about Scream 6 is it also took a risk putting it in a place like New York, in a city. Like, it adds so many different
on a
dangers.
college campus.
Yes, sort of. I think there are apartments in the sticks or something.
But she's still going to college. They're all going to college there.
Yeah. But
that's why they're there.
Because they still do the college campus thing as like a riff on Scream 2. But it's
like it takes Scream 2 and it makes you like it's doing it again technically, but it doesn't like let you realize it until like the end of the movie, basically, which I think was really cool. I think the way that they did it was really cool. So
okay.
Yeah.
I guess we can agree to disagree on things, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, none of these are bad movies.
No.
They're all like pretty consistent quality. I guess if you had to go from a purely analytical approach, if you rounded out the numbers, this is my favorite horror movie franchise.
Yeah.
Just because of pure how I rate the movies.
Because, like, if you think about, like, a Chucky or I feel like Chucky's more comparable because it's a shorter franchise, but if you're thinking, like, a Chucky or, a Halloween or a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street, they all have movies within their franchise that are legitimately bad movies.
Yes.
There's not a movie in this franchise that is a legitimately bad movie.
Nope, not yet.
Not yet.
Granted, some argue that season 3 of the Scream TV series is legitimately bad, but I don't count that.
I don't count it. If it doesn't affect the main timeline, to put it in Marvel terms, then who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't count. It got
Scream.
MTV'd.
I just realized we forgot to rate the movies.
Oh yeah, we did.
I
got a little bit.
How many skewer Deweys out of 10 do you give Scream 5?
Okay.
I'm gonna go 7.5.
Scream 5. Yeah, 7.5.
And how many? Oh God. How many Samara weaving banshee screams out of 10?
8.5.
I'm gonna go 8.
All right.
There, we did it.
Yay. So, we want to hear your rankings, first of all.
Please leave them in the comments in the Discord.
If you have any comments on the superlatives or best and worst too, leave those in the Discord too. I want to hear those. This sounds like so much fun. I want to have a lot of interaction on this because I'm loving it.
So that is Scream, the whole franchise.
We did it.
We did it. Tell us what you think of this format for franchises. I really like it. It's a lot easier for us. I think, honestly, no matter what you guys say, we're going to probably do it this way.
Oh, yeah.
But
it makes our lives so much
tweaks,
easier.
We could probably do. We could do with some tweaks, maybe. But yeah, so thank you so much for listening. If you want to engage, give us your thoughts on the whole franchise. Go to discord.gg/JumperScape or just comment down below. Subscribe as we keep going on in this in our little horror journey.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff on the way. October is going to be a very busy month.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, if you want to support us, you can also go to patreon.com/JumperScape. That's where you'll find us. We have some cool benefits there. But thank you so much for listening.
Also get
Connor141 at checkout. Glitch Energy. It's
Glitch
really good.
Energy.
CONNOR 141.
Woo!
But thank you so much for listening, and have a good day, stranger.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us this evening, stranger. If you enjoyed your time with us, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/JumperScape or join the community at discord.gg/JumperScape. We thank you for your listenership and hope you enjoyed.